Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. So excited to have our friend Dr. Laura Garland back with us here. And she's an amazing woman, Reiki master, so much more. I'll have her introduce you. And there's so many different ways she can help us. And I'm looking forward to see what tarot has in store for us today. Good morning or good afternoon, depending where you are in the world.
Yes, it is afternoon for us. Hi, I am a Shamanic Reiki master. I'm also a holistic inspiration coach. And today, the tarot came up with change as what we are supposed to talk about, and then happiness and adversity.
Right.
And change happens. If it doesn't, then we have stagnation. And stagnation in anything never ends up well. Stagnation in nature is a really not a good thing. Like, you never swim in a stagnant pond. Mm-hmm. You don't do that. If your blood stops flowing, stagnates, oops. Yeah, that's not good. So change happens, and how we work with that is really super important. It makes the difference between happiness and adversity. Mm-hmm. So I went to write up my notes about 20 minutes before the show, and I always write the date. And I looked at that, and it was the first time I really paid attention to the date today, and I realized 10 years ago today, I had one of my worst days that I've had. For other people, this would not be a horrible day, but for me, it was one of my worst days. I live in a right to work state, and what that also means for employers is a right to fire without cause. And I got fired from a job that I had mixed feelings about. I loved some aspects and I hated some others. For me, at that point, it was one of my most spectacular quote unquote failures. I hadn't failed that way before. And it was really tough. I struggled for 2 years. If I'd had a coach, then I wouldn't have struggled so hard. But in hindsight, when I did work through this with a coach eventually, I realized that the universe had put up some key markers that I had missed. I knew that I shouldn't renew my contract. I knew that I was not supposed to do that. But fear held sway. And I said out loud to my department that I would renew my contract. Oh. And 2 weeks later, I got fired. So psychic 2x4 upside the head. Change. I needed it. I was no longer really happy doing what I was doing. I wasn't where I was supposed to be. And I was not doing what I was supposed to be doing. Okay. So I flailed and struggled for a while, and then I found coaching. So first I found a coach. Great. And she helped me see some of what happened. And then I found a coaching program where I trained to be a coach. And then kind of actually intermingled with that, I did my Shamanic Reiki master training all at the same time and kind of have meshed it all together. And this is what I want people to understand. It's always about change and working through that change in a productive way. This is when I work with someone as a coach. This is what I really focus on, is the change. Because that's what people want. So many people say, I'm stuck. or I don't know where to go, or I feel like I have a purpose, but I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
how to get there. But obviously, to get to that purpose, you have to change.
True. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you don't feel like you're doing your purpose now, there
Yeah.
has to be some sort of change to get to where that purpose is. And when I work with you, we find the changes that you need to become your best self. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Finding those changes, working them into your life, in a way that doesn't feel like adversity. We're working on finding happiness and peace, and that's always evolving. That's another thing. It's always evolving. When you get to where you think you should be,
And
and you realize, oh, there's another step. There's another change that needs to happen. I've been coaching for a while, and I decided I needed to up my level. And literally 3 days after, I was like, I gotta up this. 3 days after that, across my feed comes a thing from Mind Valley. I don't know if you've ever heard of Mind Valley, but
no.
They're run by Vishen Lakhiani and his whole cohort. But it's personal growth. They combine the personal growth experts in the world and offer programs. And I love their programs. And across the feed came that they're now doing certified coach.
Okay.
And I was like, and I looked at it, and they're like, you could be a new coach and then you come in at a new coach level, or you can be an experienced coach and you're going to learn all of this stuff. And I was like, holy cow, I just thought about this. And so I decided, time for my new change to up that level.
Yeah.
So I'm working through my up level program. And it's about finding that next level of happiness, peace, and harmony. It's about, when we coach, it's about finding the tools within yourself. See, when I coach, I don't tell you what to do. That's kind of what a counselor does.
Okay.
Counselors more like tell you what to do. They try to draw it out of you, but then there's a lot of also because usually when you're in counseling, you're in some sort of deficit. Something's really not going well. So the counselor's trying to bring you up to an even level. I'm trying to take you from your even level and take you higher. That's what coach does. Yeah. Coach takes you to your even level and takes you higher. So it's about finding the tools and strength and harmony within yourself to continually evolve into your next best self, continually moving upwards so that we don't have that stagnation, because stagnation not so good. And so one of the key things is working on seeing these changes not as adversity, but as a way to highlight the next steps. And we're very focused. Our brain picks out the negative. It's what we do. It's how we've evolved. We remember the negative. We focus on the negative because if you think about it, way back, guilty. When we were, really small tribes together. If you didn't remember that particular sound in the woods was the tiger or the bear or the whatever the frick was coming at you. Yep. If you didn't remember that bit, you could be eaten. Yes. If instead all we had remembered is, oh, there's lovely blueberries and pretty flowers, and isn't the sky lovely, and oh, the trees are so green, and all of this nice stuff, but not remember the sound in the woods is actually the bear. Yes. Yeah. So our mind focuses negative. It is what happens. And you literally have to train yourself to learn to shift from focusing negative and thinking adversity to thinking change is good and happiness and harmony and peace. and
Okay.
and really work on that. And that's one of the things that both counselors and coaches do that. So counselors will work on people's mindset. Coaches really do that. We really work on what your mindset is and how to shift that. I have to say that being fired ended up being one of the best things that ever happened.
Yeah.
If I hadn't been fired, 6 months later, when my mom fell critically ill, I couldn't have gone and spent 2 months helping
Everything
my
happens
dad.
for a reason. Same thing happened with me when my mom passed and I lost my job. The same thing. Wow. Yep.
Yeah. And I needed to be able to do that. My being fired caused my husband to step up his level. When I was fired, he'd been out of supervision as a counselor. Supervision is kind of like residency for a doctor. So you get your license, but then you have a senior supervisor make sure you're doing okay as a counselor. And in South Carolina, it's 2 years. So he'd been out of supervision 1 year, but his practice was growing slowly. But when I got fired, he had to step up, and it forced him. So you know, and it was good in that way. It was good that I managed to be able to be there for my mom and dad when she went critically ill. It forced me to let go of preconceived notions of myself and change. And so things that look like adversity have purpose often, even when it's a psychic 2x4 upside the head. The universe is trying to get you to change, to move in the direction that you need to go. If you're stubborn, then you might get a psychic 2x4. If you pay attention, if you're working with someone when you know you're supposed to change, so that you have maybe an outside perspective. And that's another thing a coach gives, is that outside perspective, so that when you look at and talk about things, the coach can highlight what's going on and be like, oh, maybe the universe is telling you these things. Because sometimes it's really hard sometimes when on the inside to see that. But that outside perspective can be so very, very helpful. And that's what I help people with that too. Really work on seeing what the universe is trying to tell them. Where do we need to shift? How do you need to move? What, was that actually a sign, or was it just some random stuff that just happened? Because that happens too. There's random stuff out there.
It does. It sure does.
I mean, a lot of times people say, everything happens for a reason, but no, there really is a few things that are just random out there. Now, do you kind of pull that random stuff towards you? Yeah, but it's still kind of random. So yeah, the whole law of attraction, randoms, there's a fine line there, because there are other people's free will involved. So it's not just you, it's not just me. I'm not the center of the universe. So other people's free will does play in. And so random, semi-random stuff can happen. But it's still change. It's really hard sometimes to make the changes we want. We say we want happiness. We say we want peace and harmony in our lives. But then fear takes over and we don't make the change. We don't step up. And a coach can make you see where you're throwing roadblocks in your own life, that self-sabotage that we do. Yeah, your coach will call you out on that.
Yep.
Hopefully they'll do it nicely. I try to always be super nice when I call my clients out on their BS.
Yep.
but but you know, if someone doesn't call you out, you're going to sit in that same spot and not move.
Not even. Yep.
And it's so easy to not move. The last 2 years have really just like put a screeching halt on so many people's pathway. A lot of people got locked down, and it was kind of bimodal. People either like exercised, got healthy, did some sort of thing to improve themselves, or they did the opposite and became a couch sloth. And binged watch, you know, whatever the heck was the favorite thing at the moment. And it was bimodal. The people who did the healthy and tried to move forward are really, as we're stepping out of this, going like, oh my God, I really want to accelerate this. And please, let's do. There's so much going on in the world. We need more and more people to become their better selves.
Yeah.
We know that the more people who are their better selves, the less conflict we're going to have. And right now we got some stressful things going on.
Extremely worldwide.
We come out of the pandemic to have
a war
in Europe. Stressful things going on.
Yeah.
And any of you out there with friends and family on either side of the conflict, my prayers and thoughts do go out to you, which is a little bit more than just that. I as a shamanic Reiki master, I've been working daily on with a whole group of us on essentially sending calming love energy to that region of the world. Hopefully we can get that resolved. But the more people who up their energy level, up their vibration, become their best selves, the less conflict we have. Because when you're happy, you don't want to get in a fight with anybody.
Yeah.
You don't want to get in a fight with anybody when you're happy. When you're happy and calm, you have no desire to get in a fight with someone. And when someone picks a fight with you, you want to squash it as quickly as possible. And when you're happy and calm, you can remain in a state where you can de-escalate anything that's happening around you. And so we want people to change with that. People who were in the other group, the couch sloth group, during the pandemic, we're coming out, and now is the time to change. Now is the time to work on what you need to work on, to take adversity, perceived adversity, and turn it into real change. Yeah. Really move forward. Think about health, happiness, career, spirituality, any of those topics, and really, and all, hopefully, and really shift that for yourself. It's super hard to do it just by yourself. That's a really daunting task.
Yeah.
To just do it by yourself. So I really suggest people, if you're not having actual mental health diagnosable condition problems, in which case you need to see a mental health counselor.
True.
But if you want that change, search out someone who is a coach. Lots of coaches do online, so you do not have to be in the same city. I work with people around the world. So you do not have to be in lovely Charleston, and I highly recommend not coming to Charleston right now. Pollen content is
Oh, my
through the
son
roof.
just started up here in New York, and yes, 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 the allergies. Yep.
Oh my God. My car is a
Is it
lovely
yellow?
blue.
Oh,
My car is
blue.
underneath color is a lovely blue, but right now it looks green. Absolutely
Oh, I was like,
looks
oh, yeah, blue pollen. Okay, got it.
green. It's just, and it rained overnight, and all of the puddles have a
Yeah.
ring about yay wide of just yellow around
Yep.
them, and it's just so gross. So, but you don't have to be in Charleston to work with me. You can be in New York, or you can be in England. I have a gal in England, or New Zealand, or I'm afraid I have to say that I am only fluent in English, so so very American. I'm only fluent in English. My Spanish sucks, and anything else is really, really bad.
Yes.
But you know, if you're coming out of the pandemic and you're looking at yourself and going, oh my gosh, I am 2 years older and I look like I'm 5 years older, or I feel like I'm 5 or 10 years older, or oh my God, I backslid, or hey, I actually did really well in the pandemic, but now I want to do way better.
Yeah.
This is the time right now to find a coach. Like I said, you can work with me. I come from a fairly spiritual bent. I don't care what religion you are, or no religion. I practice what's called Lauraism, which
I love
means
it. Lauraism. I love that.
which means I've studied world religions, and so I kind of have drawn and found noticed the underlying principles under everything, and I try to work from that base. But I can work with anybody from any base. It doesn't really bother me. And like I said, I've studied world religion, so I, you know, my handle on Jainism probably isn't all that good if you're a Jainist, but but most of the major world religions I can work with. And we can make sure that your spirituality is a part of this moving forward, because so many people have felt that there's been just something lacking in the discourse worldwide recently. We'll go back 5 or 6 years, really. It's just not, a lot of civility has disappeared.
Yeah.
And I think if we pull the spirituality component back into things and let people feel their connection to divine, to each other, that we can bring the discourse back to a better place. And again,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And again, when we're happy and feel harmony within ourselves, we're not going to want to fight with anybody.
True.
And when somebody picks that fight, we're going to want to de-escalate immediately instead of make a big deal out of it.
Yep.
I was on vacation last week, and you know, you're on vacation, so you're in a much better place usually.
Better state of mind usually. Yeah.
Yes. And we were, but had to go into the grocery store and get some things. And I was in a great state of mind, but CDC has recently released their county by county guidance.
Okay.
I guess we'll call it.
Yep.
And I had looked up the county where we were in, and the county we were in was red, which meant if you go inside, you wear your mask.
Yep.
It's off season. We were outside most of the time, so we got to go maskless because no one was around.
Yep.
But went into the grocery store, you know, and got some really horrible looks, got someone who followed me out to my car and said some not nice things.
Huh.
And I just looked at them and I was like, I'm so sorry that you feel that way.
Yeah.
And I hope that your day gets a lot better. And I just turned around and that was it. I was in that place of inner harmony and happiness and had no desire to engage.
Yep.
Because I'd made it change.
Yeah,
I'll bring it
in
back.
yourself. Yep. In yourself.
Because we had made that change in mental state by being able to get away for a short vacation. And let's see, that was the morning we'd gone for a 4-mile hike. Just the two of us. I think we saw 2 other people on the entire trail. It was a 4-mile hike. We had that was the day with the 750-foot elevation change one way. So I was actually really tired by the time we got to the grocery store, but I was in such a space of having shifted and changed that I just looked at the poor guy and I was like, I felt so much. I felt sorry that that his inner world was in such turmoil that he had to express it out like that. And if you're in that inner turmoil, please find someone to work with to help you change out of that turmoil so that we can all get to a much better place. Much better place. That is what we hope for. We hope for everyone to feel happiness and harmony. And that is a change that we all can hope for to keep evolving to even happier, even better harmony, even better knowledge of what's going on within ourselves. And again, a coach such as myself is one of the ways that can help you work on that change. Because again, it's not easy if you do it by yourself. You got to really put in effort. And one of the things a coach does is hold you accountable, because most of us are much better being held accountable outside of ourselves than being held accountable inside. We'll make promises to ourselves and then break them left and right. But if we make a promise to someone outside ourselves, we'll keep it. And that is one of the cool things that a coach does with helping with change, is by helping you be accountable. And after you're accountable outside, you start to be more and more accountable inside.
Yep.
So again, it's building those tool sets, building that inner strength and working with that so that you can change into your best self.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Laura Garland. How can we reach out to you? CharlestonTowerandReiki.com.
Yes, that is the website. And you can also call directly 843-259-8349 or email drlaura.coach. So drlaura.coach@gmail.com.
Perfect. Always a pleasure having you here. Exciting to talk to you. And by the way, I hope you had a good vacation. You brought that up. I remember last week you were outside. It looked so beautiful.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
It was fabulous.
All right. You have a great day, sweetheart. Thank you for enlightening us again here on Change.
All right.
Bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you can now listen live on the MyTuner Radio and online Radio Box apps for iOS, Android, and the Amazon App Store. Or check us out online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on onlineradiobox.com/US so you don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.